So these are, all right, just have to click something here. This meeting is being taped. Um, these are some of the ones I picked. Be patient. There's no right or wrong time frame for grieving. How long it makes will differ from person to person. You have to understand that and not try and rush it. So grief is baby steps. It's like when you were young, I'll bet every one of you was a crawler at some point when you were first born, right? You crawled around. You didn't walk around, you crawled around. And you crawled one step at a time. And then you started to get hold of furniture and walk very slowly. And then you walked even more. And then you started doing things very well. This is the same thing when you're in grief. When you're in grief, you actually take a step back and you're actually crawling as you develop your ability to deal with this issue. I've never seen anything as hard to deal with as grief in my entire lifetime. And I know I do a lot of this work. My best friend just died 4 weeks ago, and doing this session, and he loved Christmas. He especially loved the Channel 62 Women's Network movies. Some of you can probably relate to that. So we'd watch a few together. So it's really interesting this time of year how you can have all these memories of people, right? Often the people in your life may expect you to be over it. Are you over it? And the person never gets over the loss of someone that they love, but they reconcile it to the point where it softens and you can move on and have a wonderful life. The goal is not to forget the person who died. And a lot of the fear is people say, I forget, I may forget their name or forget their voice. So the idea is to keep those things going as you go through the process, right? Give yourself permission to feel joy as well as sadness. And don't feel like you have to be a certain way. And this came up last year, or to be strong for others. This one lady was saying, everybody's telling me to be strong for my grandchildren and my children. I said, well, you can certainly show emotion. You want to role model authentic grieving. And by the way, most kids know how to grieve if we allow them to do it. But sometimes we don't allow them to. And, children should be seen and not heard. And no, they're very, very good at it, right? So to be strong, there's times to be strong in life, but when you're grieving, it's okay to show emotion. I hope you're going to mention your loved one at the dinner table at Christmas. I think that's a necessity for you to go around the table and have each person tell a story, light a candle, um, do something like that. It's so important. Whenever I'm out anywhere, I always say, when we're toasting that person, I like to say, can I add a toast for everyone else that can't be here or is no longer with us? And people kind of tend to like those things. So it's okay to feel joy and it's okay to feel sad. So you don't have to like Christmas. But I would give you a little bit of advice and say, just try and make it as good as you can for those in your family. But it's very, very difficult, for sure. We grieve not only for the person who died, so the death is the primary loss. So when you've lost the person, that's the primary loss. We grieve the life we live with them.
Megan?
Hang on. Somebody's, I'm not sure what happened. Did somebody unmute themselves maybe? Go ahead, Ian.
Okay. So we don't only grieve for the person who died, we grieve the life we live with our loved one. There's going to be necessary secondary losses to deal with. Secondary losses, every one of them has to be grieved. And it could be anything from someone who put up the Christmas tree, that decorated the tree, that does the snow removal, that does the cooking, does the bill paying. These are all secondary losses. And so many people say, I don't think I can handle this. They did all that. And now I'm in a position, and I said, you're in a position where you're going to need to learn to do those things. And this is very difficult. It's not easy, but now you have to decide whether you want to stay in your current place. And if you do, there's decisions to be made. So we'll talk with them about that. So, I'm talking to someone today. They're about to get their Christmas tree out, and they've got 47 years of memories when they take the tree out, and every ornament they know the year that it was put on the tree, and they sit there for 2 hours putting them on the tree, crying, and laughing, and they won't let anyone else in on it. Yet I've known other people that put like 4 or 5 decorations on the first year, and that's enough because they can't do any more. So it's all very personal how you do that. So allow yourself to backslide. Now this is very interesting. Sometimes grief comes in waves. It's kind of like ebbs and flow. So one day you're feeling great, and the next day you're not, and then the next day you're feeling okay, and then the next day you're feeling worse. And then you have what's called a tsunami day, where it's like a big wave comes right over you, and all you want to do is run and hide under the sheets and do whatever you can. So what's interesting in grief, once you start to grieve, it's all forward motion. And when I studied with Alan in the States, he said, you gotta get this through to people. Once you start to grieve, it's all forward motion. So if you have a good day, it's forward motion. If you have a bad day, it's forward motion. You don't go back. You're backsliding, but you're not going back. I just hope you understand the difference there. And you do your best healing on your most emotional days. So when you're having one of those really bad tsunami emotional days, and you'll have them, and don't go looking for them because they'll find you. And when you do, just give that day a hug at the end of the day and said, did okay on that one, because they're normal and they're a healthy part of the grieving process. Okay. This is huge. If you can, that's why I like doing this in November. Schedule a family meeting to plan for the upcoming holidays. So sit down with your family, negotiate with family and friends and whatever, and deciding how to make the holidays manageable. I like when families sit down and say, let's look at traditions. Which ones do we want to keep? Which ones do we want to get rid of? By the way, most people I talk to, when they start talking about traditions, they say, well, with half the ones we have, we can get rid of. But no one ever says that because they've been around forever. So it's not. It kind of gives you an opportunity. So is there traditions we don't want anymore? Do you have to put up a Christmas tree? That's a tradition. Do you have to put up a real tree? Could you do a ceramic tree? Could you do a Charlie Brown tree? Anyone seen Charlie Brown trees? They're wonderful. Just about that big, kind of funny in a way. I'm just waiting for someone. I gave them a Charlie Brown tree 2 years ago. And last year I got an email on, I think it was November 14th, and it said, it's up. So the only message it was just, it's up. And I said, when you're done with it, pay it forward, give it to someone else. I said, nobody else is getting that. So it can be any decoration at all. You can decorate a lot, or you don't have to decorate at all. And boy, when you're in grief and you don't have the energy to hardly put one foot in front of the other, be realistic with your expectations. And now I'm a recovering perfectionist. I don't know if anyone else is. I like to do things nicely. I think I'm at the point now where I do them well. I'm not looking for perfection. To me, that's an illness. You don't want it. Just do them as well as you can. But at this time, this is your first year, be really gentle with yourself and say, you know what? I'm going on a stress-free diet this Christmas. I'm not going to shop. I'm not giving gifts. I'm not doing cookies. I'm not doing gifts. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. You have every right to not do that. And if people say, oh, you're not giving gifts, no, I just don't feel up to it this year. I'm not writing cards. I had a lady the other day, she says, I'm not writing cards, but my best friend has offered to write them for me. And I said, is that something you want to do, or do you want to write them yourself? Well, it's nice that she would do that. I said, it is. So maybe you have a decision to make, but you need to ask for help sometimes, especially if you're on your own and you don't have a lot of family. One lady wanted to go to church and she didn't have a car. And after her husband died, she had no way to get to church. So she asked her congregation, and now she has a ride every Sunday. But she was afraid to ask. Why are we so afraid to ask for help? You know, we are. A lot of us are. I know I am. Yeah, tell people what you need. Friends and family will not know how to help you to relate unless you're specific about your wants and needs. I had a lady 2 years ago. It was in a session actually, and she said on Christmas Day, my son's saying he's coming over to get me, and bring me to his place, but I don't want to go. I said, okay, so if you don't want to go, that's fine. She said, yeah, but he says he's coming over anyway. He'll he'll just come in and take me. I said, no, convince him that you don't want, you want to be at home. You want to have your breakfast. You want to do this. You want to watch Jimmy Stewart and Live a Wonderful Life. And then tell him later, if I'm feeling lonely, will you come and get me and bring me over? And that was the agreement they made. It was wonderful. So she got the time alone. But sometimes we dominate to the family, say, we know best what's good for you. And usually the best person that knows the best is the person who's grieving. So you have to be a little generous for that. Oh, the other one I had, I'll go to the question thing. Be prepared. I don't know how many of you are writing Christmas cards. Be prepared for cards addressed to your loved one or both of you, because some people may not know that you had a death in the family. And we run into something really interesting this year. I've been working with Alzheimer's Dementia Society for over 10 years as a volunteer. And we're starting to find when people share information with someone that does have some form of Alzheimer's, they may not remember what was said. So you might say to someone, how is so-and-so? They'll go, well, I told you they died like 2 months ago. That's part of that reasonable tolerance, eh? But you kind of have to weigh those things in and see where that's going, because it's getting more difficult every year. Some people aren't sending cards at all. You go to the card shops, they'll tell you it's a demographic thing for that. So Jane, that will take us up to 7:30. If you want to look at some questions, and I'll try and answer them as best I can.
Sure, that would be great. That would be great. So what we'll do now is we'll just open up the discussion. Anybody's free to raise their hand and ask a question. I know quite often we are, we're pretty worried about the upcoming holidays, and sometimes the anticipation is actually,
Yeah.
The anticipation of the lead up to the holiday is quite intense for us. And so, especially if it's our first time, we might not know exactly what to do or how we're going to manage. So this is a really good time for people to just ask us anything, ask Ian any question you would like about the holidays.
So awfully, anticipation of the day is worse than the day. And of course, Christmas is no like other holiday. It goes like 2 months to build it up. It's not like Easter or other ones that have a few days. It's very, very hard. So if anyone has a question, just feel free. Don't be shy. Sure, you've got some questions in there. And so remember, talking about your loss is number one way to heal. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. Ever.
And I think Ian's probably been doing this for long enough that it would be hard for you to ask him a question that he hasn't heard before. So he's comfortable with any question that you would like to ask him.
It's your question. Doesn't matter if I've heard it before. Right? So it's your question. So don't be shy. I hope I have an answer. I have answers to most things. Well, occasionally I don't. It's amazing. I just get blindsided. And Susan? Hello.